United Nations World Refugee Day is observed on the 20th of June each year. The day commemorates the strength, courage and perseverance of millions of refugees. This year, an event called Concert for Refugees will be held at the Linder Auditorium in Parktown, Johannesburg. South African musician Pops Mohamed and Ayhan Cetin from the Turquoise Harmony join me in studio for more on the event. Thanks so much both for your time on SABC News. Perhaps I can start with you and you can tell us how you put together this concert and why.
So one of the objectives of our institution of Turquoise Harmony Institute to bring people from different walks of life together. And we want people to know, one another at the first hand. And unfortunately, the perception of refugees in people's minds are not very positive. So we want to tackle that issue. And with Pops Mohamed and some other artists, we came together and decided to have that kind of concert for them.
Mm-hmm. You decided earlier on in your career that you didn't just want to be a commercial artist and it was important to have a social conscience. Mm-hmm. What is the importance of that in South Africa now?
I think it's very important for the youth of the future, to identify of who we are, where we're coming from and where we're going to. It's so important for us to know our heritage and also important for us to recognize that people coming from other parts of the world, coming in here for serious help. A lot of people see refugees as like, you're an alien, something like that. It's like almost a tagging you, and actually refugees are people who's been fleeing from their countries that's in trouble. And it's so important for us because me and Ayhan spoke about 2 years about this project, I know a lot of refugees. I have a lot of refugee friends, not only in London. I travel quite a lot and I have refugee friends in not only in South Africa, but I have friends in London, all over wherever I go. And I always speak to them, what's it like in London? And it's always the same thing over. The people are having a hard time. And it's not to say they want to be in those countries or they want to be here in South Africa. And I just took it upon myself when Ayhan mentioned he wanted to do this. I challenged him. I said, listen, we have to do this. No matter what happens, we have to do this. Because I'm seeing the world through the eyes of a refugee. Based on my own experience, traveling to other countries like Finland and places like that, I always feel like I don't belong. Sometimes you come across nice people, sometimes you come across people who they just look at you once, it's like, oh, he's not one of us. You can feel that, And I think of people coming to this country experiencing the same things. If you look at a guy playing music on the streets, for instance, it's such a big difference when he plays on the street and when he's playing in a club. People see him differently in the club as what they see him on the street. And I normally ask musicians, and these are some refugee people that I know, when somebody pays you money for your performance or whatever piece, what do you feel? Is it coming from the heart or where? He says, sometimes I feel people pay me out of sympathy. And sometimes I feel people pay me to impress his girlfriend, so they will put 500 or 600 rand to show, I care about the guy. And he said, then sometimes I see people just coming and watching me, and he'll come back the next day and the next day watching me and leaving with respect, although they don't give money, but I know that is the person. And one day you see the same person coming with 2 or 3 people that he's brought along to say, come and look at this person. So there's all these different levels of how people see refugees. I once interviewed, I wouldn't say interview, I'm always with my camera. I always carry my camera with me. And there was a woman standing and watching a street musician playing at Rosebank. And she looked at him and she seemed so disappointed. And I asked her, what do you think about the guy? She says, these people are such a nuisance. It used to be so good in the olden days when there's none of this music going on. And, it's just peaceful. But everywhere you go, you find these people making a lot of noise. And I asked her, don't you enjoy it? She says, well, it's music. But the thing is, don't they have proper jobs, And I said, and yet you're standing and watching him. I mean, surely you must be enjoying it. She says, I'm not. I'm just thinking back what it was like. So if just looking at her and you think how many people out there are thinking that way.
Yeah.
So I said to Ayhan that maybe we should do a documentary or a concert to create an awareness of street musicians also, that they are working people.
Let's go back to the issue of refugees, specifically in South Africa. We know that there's over 500,000 asylum seekers in South Africa. You said that this concert that you're holding, it's also a way of South Africans trying to help refugees.
This is one of the idea. I mean, maybe politically we don't have any power to solve that, but we want to touch the minds and the hearts of the people. So we want them to feel for the refugees, because they are, I think, they are the most or bravest people on earth. You know, they are leaving everything behind and looking for a new life for them and for their children. And I think we as people, you know, so we need to, you know, support this courage. And, you know, so we try to, you know, understand what they are going through. And this is one of the main objectives of the concert is, you know, to create awareness about their challenges and their pain.
One of the projects that you worked on back during apartheid is going and pro-democracy is going and listening to the San people and preserving their music, because you're also saying preserving culture is important. It's almost as though in South Africa at the moment there's also a need to create a new kind of culture that moves away from xenophobia, treating refugees and people who are different in a different manner.
Yes.
Is music capable of doing that?
I think music is one of the most powerful weapons that can draw people from all parts of society for someone to address issues like this. You know, and people normally go to concerts these days not to enjoy themselves, but people are going there to look for answers, especially concerts like Concert for Refugees, for instance. People are looking for answers. And therefore, when I do my concerts, I travel with the San people quite a lot abroad. And we often see people coming to these concerts trying to get a message of something new that they don't know, so that they could understand themselves better. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why I did some research with the San people, learning their culture, trying to understand the language, trying to understand how they've survived for more than 45,000 years and still living exactly the same lifestyles as what their ancestors did. And I'm using that as a very powerful tool to actually keep on pushing me on what I'm doing. And I get people on the street all the time asking me, Pops, when is your next concert with the San people? But I'm currently working on an album, which I've already recorded, of an elder. In fact, my guru, my master, he's now just turned 98. I've just completed his album. It's a San elder from the Kalahari Desert. And the album is based on the lifestyles of the Bushmen, but it's also going to tell us of who we are, where we're coming from, and where we should be going to. I'm not telling people to become traditional musicians or anything, because I'm myself a futurist. I love technology. I love things like that. So, but what we are trying to do on this album is to get the musician himself, the old man, on a one-on-one basis with artists. I want to get artists like Zaps to do a track with him. You get Femi Koya and one of the Kwaito artists, guys who are doing gom, and bring all that stuff together so that people can recognize and see themselves into the future by producing future music without bastardizing the culture of any tribe in South Africa or outside South Africa. And I think this concert is just that. That's what we are going to try to do, to embrace all these cultures and address these issues as well if we have enough time. Why is it important for us to look after our culture and also to learn from other cultures what they are doing? I mean, people today, everyone's sitting in his own little corner and thinking like, you know, I'm the thing, I'm the real thing, you know, and things like that. But those days are gone. Collaborations is the way to the future.
Thanks both so much for your time on SABC News tonight. That was South African musician Pops Mohamed and Ayhan Cetin, who's the director of the Turquoise Harmony Institute, joining me in studio over that refugee conference that's going to be taking place at Linder Auditorium this weekend.